Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. It's a Thursday. I'm here with Matt. How you doing, Matt?
Hello.
We are galloping down the driveway to your impending success at the Blackpool Magic Convention. Matt's a bit tired. We're full on in Christmas season at the moment. On the Matt-umentary last year, he didn't have gigs because he was learning how to be a magician. So I took time out of my schedule to take him to Smoke and Mirrors and take him to the odd gig or two. He had a nice relaxed time. He was learning panto. He was doing easy stuff. This year, he's full on gigging like every day. In the office all day, gigging every evening. Welcome to my fucking life, Cluely.
It sucks.
It
doesn't suck, it's awesome. But I'm fucking tired.
And I'm going to show you some footage. He just moans all the time, such a fucking moaner. And I'm going to show you some footage in a bit. We last night were at London.
We were in central London.
In central London, right by Covent Garden.
It was crazy, man.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that before we play the footage. And the reason I want to talk about that is because I have been banging on to you over and over again. One of the reasons I want you to put a bear pit act together that's different to what you normally do is because you can't just rely on Stebbins and an Anverdi die. Like, that's just lazy. It really is. It's like you know, you've been in metal bands your whole life. It's like a metal band just having 10 songs that they play and that's it. And then they never change their set list. They never change the music.
There are bands that have done that.
Yeah, and are they respected?
Depends how good the songs are.
Really, are they respected generally as a rule? Well,
like,
I'm telling you right now, generally as a rule,
decades.
the people that do the same 5 tricks in Magic over and over again, they're the people that are just, you know, I see them going through the motions. And you've been to gigs in the past where there's been like meant to be 50 people and there's 10 people and you need more material. But last night proved it, because last night was a big corporate event. It was one of those Christmas party nights. He's never done a Christmas party night before. How loud was it, Matt?
I've done Christmas party nights. I've never done one like that.
Well, that's how they normally are. Don't forget, last December, you didn't really do many gigs, did you? Because you weren't actually a gigging magician last December.
No, but we did.
I took you to a couple of
party last week.
I took you. Yeah, no. What you experienced yesterday is generally what a Christmas party night is like. Everybody getting pissed, loud music. What we didn't have here that you normally have at a Christmas party night is party poppers, fucking little snake things going around the room, going, people throwing shit at your head, you standing there trying to perform magic, desperately reining it in so you don't headbutt the guy next to you. That's generally what Christmas parties are like, right?
We did have 2 metal unicorns wandering around.
Did have 2 metal unicorns. I mean, it was just insane, the level of stuff that was there, but it was very noisy, it was very loud. I was performing at one point just to a group of people. It was loud, but it was doable, and then all of a sudden a pop band appeared behind me and this guy
genuinely, I was standing on the other side of the room in one of the most elaborate and fancy buildings I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I don't know how much those people paid to get into that event, but it's central London in one of the massive buildings, not like the modern buildings, one of the really old ones. So when you walk in, it's like marble floors going up. It was like crazy. You know the game Hitman? Yeah. The computer game. You know when he walks it, you have to go to like a party at a big mansion. Yeah. And there's just shit everywhere going on, loads of different rooms, and like you're just this out of place guy wandering around. It's probably not supposed to be there. That was me last night. Yeah, I was like that. But there was just like unbelievable. There was like women just hanging off the ceiling, spinning around on stuff, and there was people walking around with these crystal ball things that look like they're them, but like dressed up like in really ornate, perfectly white costumes with glitter everywhere. It was just nuts. It was crazy. And then I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I hear this band start, which isn't really a band. It's like there was like an a cappella band with like 3 singers, but then they've got like a guitar player and a trumpet player. And I look over, and the trumpet player's literally here to the doorway from the back of Craig's head, just like blowing this, and he's like trying to do this card trick, and there's a trumpet player literally 4 feet behind him. It was hilarious.
Yeah. And that's the sort of thing that you get at a lot of gigs, right? And you made your Stebbins and your Anne Verdi die work, but it wasn't really appropriate for that venue, let's be honest. They couldn't really hear you. You had to pull people off to the side. You kind of had to go, hey, want to see a trick? Come with me. Want to buy some drugs? Like, it wasn't...
You didn't sell anybody any drugs.
No, but the point is, it's not the best way to do a gig. Trust me, it's really not. It doesn't look great to the client if they see you pulling people off to a quiet corner. It's not an ideal way to perform, by having to rely on stuff that people need to hear you, because the whole point of your material, and you were there, you were watching me, I saw 3 or 4 times you were just watching me do my stuff. I wasn't hardly speaking. I was doing really visual stuff like flip a coins across and card routines and keymaster and stuff, stuff that was just super visual, that didn't require me to speak. And I guarantee you, and it's not because I'm better, even though I am, but it's not, well, I am, I've been doing this for 25 years, you've done it for a cup of coffee. It's an expression. You've been doing it for a cup of coffee.
Is that an expression?
Yeah, it's an expression. You've been doing it for a cup of coffee. You've been doing it for like a year. Yeah, not very long.
How big are your cups of coffee?
Very big.
You have a cup of coffee that lasts a year?
Yeah. It's an expression. Look it up.
Like a bucket of coffee.
It's a fucking expression.
A silo of
Look
coffee.
it fucking up. The point is, without being big-headed or egotistical.
That'd be nothing like you.
No, because I'm not. I'm very humble. I'm very humble. I'm very modest, and I'm very, even though I'm probably the most talented man on the planet, I rein it in, and I don't like to appear superior to everyone, even though I am. But the point is, I've been doing this a long time, and it's not about me being better. It's about the fact that my material was better suited for that venue than what you were doing. Do you agree?
Yeah,
you should agree.
It was difficult at points to.
It should have been difficult all the way throughout. The only time it wasn't difficult is when you were pulling people off to one side. And trust me,
no, it was fine when the band were, because the band were coming on in increments all the way throughout the night. When the band weren't on and they were just playing music, I was fine. You could talk to people. It wasn't an issue at all. And I was working my way around them weird stand-up table things that they had. And that was absolutely fine, not a problem. The only time it was a real issue was when the band were on, because that was really loud.
Yeah, but that's how a lot of Christmas party nights are, but like constantly. And not just Christmas party nights, you get gigs like that all the time. You can't just rely on the same 3 or 4 tricks over and over again. Like, you've got we did a video on this channel a little while ago about what's in your close-up case. And you go, hey, I've got this, I've got hopping halves, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. Every gig I've ever seen you at, and I've gone over and purposefully watched you several times, I have never seen you do anything other than Stebbins and Anne Verdi die. Like, you say you've got all this other stuff on you. I've never seen it, Matt.
I had hopping halves on me in my pocket last night.
Did you perform it?
Yeah, I did.
Wait, well, I never saw it, ever. Not once. It can't be a thing that you do, because you need to have that ability to change the material. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to be, I'm trying to give you advice based on experience. You have to change your material around based on the environment in which you're performing at, because you owe it to the client to give the best possible performance that you can. I was standing there with like 20, or even when the trumpet player was trying to knock me out with his trumpet, I was still able to communicate what I was doing because I could do it non-verbally, and I could do it just through the fact that it was very visual. You can't do that. It's so important. I don't want you to fall into a rut that a lot of magicians fall into, which is just doing the same shit, and it's like, right, okay, I'm going to be able to do that because I know that works. That's your style, and that's fantastic. But there's other things that you can do that will also fit within the type of performer that you are, that will allow you to go into any environment, and regardless of what you're facing, you'll be able to boss it. I'm serious. I'm not being funny. I'm not being.
Okay.
I'm trying to help.
I know.
Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know of any mentalism stuff that you don't have to talk. So if there is stuff out there where you don't have to talk, then go ahead.
Yeah, but you don't just have to do mentalism.
Yeah, but I like mentalism.
But you don't just have to. Like you just said that you do hopping halves. That's not mentalism.
No, it's not.
So which one is it? Do you want to just be a mentalist? In which case, why did you take hopping halves with you? Or are you fine with doing stuff that's not mentalism? In which case, why aren't you doing that? Is it because...
Well, I don't have anything that is mentalism that you don't have to talk for. So I have the hopping halves and things like that on me. So there's still...
You say things like that. What else? Like, I didn't see you do hopping halves. What else did you have on you?
What else did I have on me yesterday? We were rushed. We had to get out of the car and run.
Yeah, no.
And the handle broke on my close-up case, so I couldn't carry it. So I literally just grabbed a few bits.
Like, what did you do?
I had a normal deck of cards.
Did you use it?
No, I didn't actually need to use it. And then I had my coins in my pocket. I had...
hopping halves?
Yeah. And then I had a stack of billets in my pocket.
Did you use them?
Didn't need to. Because I couldn't talk. So that would have been even worse, having to explain what you're doing with a pack of billets. I've worked out a way of doing the Anverdi die without having to talk. So I did it loads of times when the band were playing without actually speaking, and it did work really well. But it's not obviously as optimal as what it would be when you can explain. But there is a way of doing that I've worked out where you don't have to speak. I think that was it. I think that's all I had a chance to grab.
So it was just really Anverdi die and Stebbins?
Yeah, because there were so many people there yesterday as well, and I can do that quickly and then just get in and get out.
Are you happy doing that? Because you're the sort of person, genuinely, you're the sort of person that likes to challenge yourself. You know, the reason you're putting so much time and effort into this show is because you want it to be the best it can be. Like, don't you want to do the same with Close-Up? Don't you want to do the same with your Close-Up show? Like,
because it is still a challenge, because I've only been doing this a year and I'm still trying to figure out
I know, but over the year, I've taught you loads of stuff. We've done Matt tests on loads of stuff.
Yeah.
I've given you loads of stuff, but you're not actually doing any of it. And it's not me. You know, if you want to be that guy, if you want to be that magician that just goes out and does the same 2 tricks over and over again, that's fine. But I would have just thought, knowing you as well as I do, you like to push yourself. You like to be the best you can be. Do you honestly think being your best you can be is just those 2 tricks?
No, and I don't just do those 2 tricks. When I go out and I do close-up gigs where people can actually hear what I'm saying, then there's a bunch of other stuff that I do.
So what do you do?
Like when I was out at that house party the other day, there was 30 people in that house and I was there for over 2 hours. So I was doing all sorts of stuff. I took my close-up case in. I was doing stuff that I had in the car, like psychology and stuff, in front of the entire house. Everybody was in the living room to watch me do psychology and stuff. I did a bit of everything because I had time and people could actually hear what I was saying. And in an environment like last night, where there are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people dotted all over a bunch of different rooms, to be able to get in, do something really quick that's impressive, that they're going to remember, that's great, and I'm really good at, and I'm confident with, and being able to get in, do something quick, spend 5 minutes there and get out, that's what the stuff that I do, like Anverdi, that's what that's perfect for. Because I can get in there, do it really quick, spend 5-10 minutes with people, and get out of there. And then move on to the next lot, and then on to the next lot, and then on to the next lot.
So we've got a couple of close-up gigs over the next few days.
Mm-hmm.
If I go and watch you and film you, am I going to see loads of other stuff other than...
Well, it depends on the environment that we're about
to
walk into.
If it's a normal environment, if I go and film you doing that, is there going to be other stuff? Because every time I've filmed you, you're like, oh, I'm going to do Anverdi, I'm going to do Stebbins.
Mm-hmm.
Can I film you doing a bunch of other stuff? Because I've seen you talk about loads of stuff, and you're like, "Oh, Hook, I'm definitely going to do that. It's 100%. Oh, this I'm going to do." We do gigs a lot, and I've never seen you do any of that stuff. And what I want to see you do is, I'd like you to go and do a gig and just ban yourself from doing Anverdi die and Stebbins. What do you reckon to that?
Why?
One, to push yourself out your comfort zone, but 2, if you want to just be doing the same 2 tricks over and over again, that's absolutely fine. But I know you're like, I know you're so I don't want to be doing the same 2 tricks. So if you don't want to do the same 2 tricks over and over again, and you've got all that other material,
but I'm really comfortable with doing that, and I've got it down to an art, and that sets up for other stuff that I'm doing. If I just
no, it doesn't set up anything, because if you got right, I've seen you do Anverdi and Stebbins.
Mm-hmm.
minimum, it's about 6 or 7 minutes. Minimum. It's normally longer.
I was doing it way quicker last night.
Yeah, because you couldn't talk. But normally, as a rule, to go Anverdi and then do Stebbins, it's probably like 7 minutes, right? It typically is.
Myself, but...
Because when you go to a gig, you got to hustle, right? You got to go here. You got to get round as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
If you're opening with Anverdi and Stebbins because it's setting you up for something else, you haven't got time to go into that thing that you're setting up.
Yeah, but I can do Anverdi quicker if I need to. You can stretch it out, or you can do it as quick as you want. But I don't think, like, in order to be able to do stuff like out to lunch, the out to lunch principle that I do, which I do that a lot. In order to be able to do stuff like that, you have to establish some credibility first. And doing the Anverdi or doing the Stebbins is a quick way of establishing some credibility for what you're doing.
But you know what? Why do you do Stebbins? Why do you do Anverdi die? Those are the first 2 tricks that I gave you. You do them because you feel comfortable with them. By saying,
and they're great.
They're great. But Matt, there's millions of other tricks out there that are just as great, that would make better openers than those 2 tricks. But you don't get a chance to see what those are because you're so reliant on
the new stuff. I'm always mooching through the different 1914's website and Alakazam's website and stuff, looking for stuff that comes out. If something pops up that I really like, that would go into my set and goes into my performance style, because 90% of what I do is performance, so I have to have stuff that I can perform.
Yeah. No, I get it.
You know what I mean? And that gives me a completely open scope to just... The Anverdi die has got nothing to do with it. The die is nothing to do with it. The deck of cards is nothing to do with it. This is like what I was explaining to you the other day.
No, it may have nothing to do with it, but it does. That's the vehicle in which you're
but
you're getting
audience,
someone to pick a card.
It's nothing.
Yeah, but it is. It's still...
To the audience, it's not. To you, it is, and to magicians, it is. But to the audience, the die doesn't come into it at all. It's what I'm telling them that I'm doing, the skills that I have to read them.
Before you joined SU, we had somebody that we had to let go, and this isn't you, so at all. But we had a guy who...
that's good to know.
No, what I'm saying is you've never had this, but we had a guy who was an incredible... magician stroke mentalist, and he was getting like loads of complaints, and the reason he was getting complaints is because he was doing the same 2 or 3 tricks, and so we'd send him to a wedding, and they'd turn around to us and they'd go, yeah, it was really good, but everyone saw exactly the same thing. Everyone saw exactly the same thing. Everyone saw exactly the same thing. And that's something that clients don't like. You've heard me pitch on the phone where I say, hey, one of the things about Slightly Unusual is we'll try and make sure that everyone sees something different. So when they're talking about it afterwards, they've got a unique experience. If everyone sees the same thing, then when people are talking about it, they're going to go, I saw a trick with the die. I saw a trick with the die as well. I saw a trick with the die. I saw a trick with the die. But if everyone's seeing something different, then when they talk about it, I saw this guy do a trick where he pulled a hole off a coin. Oh, really? I saw a guy where with me, he had me mix up a Rubik's Cube and he matched his tattoo. Oh, with me, he had a card, went underneath the box. Oh, with me, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's a better, for somebody who's booking a magician for an event, if you're going from group to group to group to group to group, it's a better thing if people see something different as opposed to seeing the same thing over and over again. It's why every single book on close-up magic or every single book on creating set lists will tell you to have 2 or 3 sets. I know you don't do restaurant magic, you kind of skip that step. But if you did restaurant magic, you couldn't do that because the restaurant wouldn't be happy to complain that you're just doing the same tricks over and over again. The point is, I know you're saying it's not about the prop. I'm not going to go here. You look depressed. It's probably tired.
No, I don't know. I'm fucking knackered.
Yeah. It's not, to you, it's not about the prop, and I get what you're talking about. You are giving them an experience, making them believe that you can read them and that you have this uncanny ability to look at how they look at you and, and you do it better than anyone I've ever seen, by the way. The whole, hey, look, he's looking down to the left. You know what that tells me? It's a red card. Look, now he smiled. That tells me it's R. All of that stuff is just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And you do it better than anybody. And it's because of your acting background. But still, it's based on a dice and a pack of cards. You can do that, but with a whole bunch of other props. You can still give that feeling to the audience, but with other props. which would then give you a bigger range, which would then, and the more you do it, it's again, going back to bands, I've never been in a band in my entire life. I can't sing for toffee, but I would imagine, you say this is bands that do the same 10 tracks over and over again. I would imagine that the bands that have more variety, there's more opportunities open to them.
Like I said, it depends on how good the songs are. People can ride an album for decades, but yeah. But if it's so, you want me to use different props to give the same effect?
I just want you to be less reliant on the first 2 tricks I ever gave you on season 1, episode 1 of the Matt-umentary. I taught you Stebbins.
Yeah.
Episode 2, I gave you a dice.
Yeah.
And those are the 2 main things that you do when you go to a gig. I'd probably say 80% of it are those 2 tricks. And I don't think you're pushing yourself. And I think it's a few things. I think it's because you're busy.
I'm pushing myself. I'm just not pushing myself in the way that you're wanting me to do.
But you're a magician. You know, you do magic. You're doing the same tricks over and over again.
I'm a performer.
I know you're a performer, and a magician is a performer. But
it is the way I do it.
It is the way a lot of people do it.
Yeah, a lot of people do it like that.
Yeah.
So, but every
magician is a performer. Yeah. They don't have to perform. It doesn't have to be mentalism. You've seen me go out at gigs and I smash it. Yeah. I'm doing a completely different performance to you.
Totally.
But I'm getting people laughing and I'm getting people cheering and getting
the
people
way
clapping.
You do it is definitely a performance.
Yeah. And the point is, come on, you watched me last night. How many different tricks did you see me do? I bet an absolute fuck ton, because I did.
Well, I was looking over your shoulder a couple of times, so I didn't. It's not like I was standing there.
No, but you probably saw me doing card stuff.
I saw you do different stuff.
Linking rings at one point. I was doing ninja rings. I was doing a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I'm not saying you should be me at all. And I'm probably too much in the other direction because I have a massive repertoire and I'm constantly creating new magic and blah, blah, blah. But you turn around to me and you say, hey, you're learning new magic all of the time to dem on the stand. Why not do some of that stuff in a gig? You know, like some of the stuff that you've learned on the stand. You've learned Cube 52, you've learned Chop, you've learned Boombox, you've learned Keymaster, you've learned all of this stuff. Why not do some of that? You've learned it to a point where you're comfortable performing it in front of magicians. Yeah. Now, if it's because, you see, I'm trying to figure out what it is. If it's because you're married to the whole mentalist thing and you want to just be a mentalist,
I think
then why did you carry around hopping halves? If you want to be just a mentalist, give me my hopping half set back. Like, no, I'm deadly serious. Like, if that's the reason, and you're telling me I want to be a mentalist, I don't need anything else other than the mentalist material, take all of the shit that's magic out of your case, and let's sit down and work on new mentalist material that you can do so that you can give that same feeling to the audience as I'm Verdi Die and Stebbins, but with different props. So that because one day, I guarantee it'll happen, if you go to a wedding and you're doing the same tricks over and over again or variations of the same tricks, you're going to get somebody that's not going to be happy about it. I've seen it a million times. The time you should expand your repertoire. Now, but if you're like not married to the mentalism thing and it's like, I carry around hopping halves because I like to have that thing in my hand that's a visual moment so that if I'm going to a wedding, for example, and there's kids at that wedding, or I'm going to a corporate event and it's really loud and I want to do the coin. Because if that's the case, you said you did hopping halves yesterday. What was the choice in doing hopping halves yesterday if you want to be perceived as a mentalist? Because a mentalist would never do, hey, I've got 2 coins, I'm going to put one in my pocket. How many left? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Spellman, I had this conversation with Spellman. I don't know if you ever saw the interview with Spellman on Magic TV. I know you massively respect Mark Spellman.
I do.
He did a 4.5-hour interview on Talk Magic. And he talked for about 45 minutes on the subject. And he said that, you can go and watch it yourself, he said, like, hey, I don't see a problem with mentalists doing magic as well. I don't see it's an issue. I do. He says, I go and do magic and mentalism, and I don't think there's a problem. He said, my favourite trick is, well, go watch the interview. So it's where I think we need to, I know you've improved, no, you haven't. You've always been an incredible performer. And I said to you yesterday, didn't I? I actually said at the gig, this is out your comfort zone, isn't it? And you were like, yep. And I said, I know, I don't have to worry about you because you have this uncanny ability to be able to kick ass in a situation where you feel that you're underprepared or you don't have the experience to be there. You seem to have this ability to just rise to the occasion. I said that to you last night, didn't I? I said, I'm not worried. There's certain people that I would have put from SU in that gig and I would have been concerned. I would have been worried. You aren't one of them. I think you're a phenomenal, incredible performer. But I just think that you're kind of stuck in a rut when it comes to the tricks that you do. And I think that I'd like to see you put as much thought in improving yourself in terms of the magic that you do, or the mentalism that you do, as the performance. I'd like to actually take Anverdi Die and Stebbins off you and send you to a gig and see what happens.
Not a lot.
And that's the point. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to say there's other tricks out there. There's other tricks that will allow you to put that same persona across. So which is it? Do you want to be a mentalist and you don't want to do magic? Or are you happy to do some magic depending on the environment? Because that'll dictate where we go with this and dictate how we do the bear pit. Because maybe I've been approaching the bear pit all wrong, getting you to do cups and balls. If you're dead set on being a mentalist, maybe we need to explore different mentalism tricks that still puts that same thing over. And there's millions that I could suggest to you. Like, where do you want to be? Because you're always going to do more close-up magic than stage magic. You know, it's probably a 70-30 split, maybe 60-40. So forget about stage for the moment. We've got that under control.
Not this weekend.
Huh?
Not this weekend.
No, not this weekend. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do?
I want to be a mentalist. That's what I want to do. But it's not like I don't ever want to do a magic trick. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love learning magic tricks and doing the Matt test and the Craig test, and I love learning stuff. I love learning the trick that we do on the video, because every time I do something, I learn something new. Every time I learn a trick, I'll learn a new method. I'll learn, you know what I mean? I like learning the methods. So I think, like, as a performer, I really like the mentalism side of it. It suits me. It's kind of works with the existing skills that I've got. And I think that I'm getting to a point now where, after performing as a mentalist for a while, like, my patterns coming in and I've got responses to stuff, and I've got, like, a girl yesterday, and this is the only issue with the Anverdi Die that I've ever come across. And she did it once, and then she went, I want another go. And I was like, okay. So she shook the die, had a look at it, I read her, and then she went, that's really weird, because I didn't even look at it. I made sure I didn't look at it. And, like, me 6 months ago would have just died inside, because I don't know how I would have responded to that. But after learning the bit book the other day, which was literally last week, my instant reaction to her saying that, because she kind of, like, stood there and looked at me with this smug little look on her face, as if to say, I got ya. And I went, oh, that's really interesting. I don't know where it came from, but I just went, that's really interesting. And she went, why? I went, have you ever heard of parapsychology? And she was like, no, why? I was like, parapsychology is blah, 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 blah. And just rolled off all this stuff. And I'm like, so basically, and generally speaking, with parapsychology and existential perception and all that kind of stuff, generally speaking, the people that are more open to that and have this existential perception are the people that are a little bit naughty, a little bit cheeky. They've got that little bit of side in their fact that wants them to not look at the die. That kind of person is really open to that kind of stuff. So maybe, even though you didn't look, you genuinely did know, because your face told me. And she just went, oh my God. And this girl who was supposed to be trying to get me, trick me up in front of everybody, just completely fell for it. And I don't know where that came from. It just came out.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. What you have here is you're developing a toolkit.
Yeah, exactly.
With lines and comebacks.
Yeah.
You'll see something at a gig. Somebody will say something and you'll go, yeah, I'll have that. Next time I'm going to say that. That toolkit will get you out of almost any situation. And that only comes from experience. But then there's another toolkit, which is the tricks that you do. What would you do, right, if you're in a gig, it's rammed, and your Anverdi Die would just stopped working for some reason. Maybe you didn't charge it, or maybe it dropped. And, you know, I remember once, who was it? Somebody I mentor on the Netrix, Rees, he was doing a gig with an Anverdi Die, and he reached across, and he accidentally dropped it into a pan of hot soup. Nice. And it melted. Like right at the beginning of the gig. A million things could happen. So what would happen if your Anverdi Die broke and you dropped your Stebbins deck on the floor, and you didn't carry a spare, and you didn't want, it's too busy to go and reset the Stebbins deck, you'd probably wing it, and you'd probably make it work, right? You'd have enough stuff with you to be able to make it work, and you'd do stuff, but you wouldn't feel comfortable with it because you've already told me these 2 tricks are your comfort blanket. These are the 2, and they're the first fucking 2 tricks that I ever gave you. That's why they're so comfortable to you. If it's as important to have a cool toolkit of tricks and effects, and you can routine them so you're doing the same thing, that you're giving people a perception of you being able to read them. But having that toolkit of props and tricks is as important in many ways as these lines and comebacks that you're talking about, because both of them will make you a better performer. And if you've got 2 bags and one of them is getting full to the brim with experience, because you're getting a lot of experience in the last year, you're gigging all of the time. Every time you go out, you learn something new. Like you said, 6 months ago, you wouldn't have been able to deal with that situation. Now you have. That's up there. Down here, we're not so much. We're still relying on the same 2 tricks that I gave you, and we're not increasing that. And honestly, it's as valuable bringing that up as it is bringing that up.
Yeah, I agree. And like, if there's stuff that we do that would work with the style of... So, I want to be a mentalist.
But I don't think you're going... I think you... Carry on.
I'm answering your question. I want to be a mentalist, right? That's what I want to do. As a performer, when I'm out being a performer, when I'm doing close-up gigs, when whatever... this show that I'm doing, whatever. I want to be a mentalist. That's what I want to be. In the magic community, as a magician, that's what I want to be seen.
Just to be clear, sorry, just so I get this right.
I know, the show that I'm doing isn't just mentalism.
The show that starts with a chop cup routine.
Yeah, because you wanted me to do my journey through magic from a kid.
I'm just here giving you advice. You don't have to take it. I think that, and I know you spoke to other people who said that they agreed that was the best way to do it.
But, I mean, that's the first 5 minutes at the start of the show. Is just those little bits as my run up into magic. The main body of the show is still mentalism.
Okay.
But there's just them few little bits at the start. Because I want to demonstrate that I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to learn methods. I want to keep learning magic tricks. I want to keep learning stuff. I want to keep expanding my knowledge of magic. But as a performer, I want to be a mentalist.
Okay. So why don't you make it a goal to start learning other mentalism, like seriously, like if you're deadly serious about wanting to be a mentalist.
I do learn mentalism.
Right.
I've bought Mark Paul's downloads, Simon Nitkin's downloads.
Stop doing the stuff.
You know what I mean?
Stop doing that. Stop doing the whole, I've bought this and I've bought that. Right, look back at the classics. Have you heard of 13 Steps to Mentalism?
Yes.
Okay, have you got it? Have you watched it?
No.
Do you know who Richard Osterland is?
I've heard the name.
Okay, Richard Osterland and his L&L DVD set was probably the best DVD set of all time. I do some mentalism still now that I learned from Richard Osterland's DVDs. I could bring in some DVDs and you could watch those, and they're going to be way better than this download and that download and the other download, because this is the fundamentals that everybody... Right, this is a trick, and I do it all of the time. Imagine this. You borrow a watch off somebody, not one of these watches, a normal watch. You borrow a watch off somebody, and you have them hold on to it. You give somebody else a business card, and you have them write down a time that means something to them. You don't take it back. You don't put it away in a wallet. You don't tear it up. You literally say, hold on to that in your hand. You then take the person over here, and you say, look, I want you to twizzle the knob on your watch, and just anytime you want to, stop and push it into your hand. And they do. You don't take that watch. You then say... okay, you're thinking of a time, concentrate on the time, and you tell them the time they're thinking of, and you say, but here's the thing, you guys are a couple, right? Let's say the time was 3:30. Look at the watch, and they've set that blind to 3:30. That's an incredible routine.
Okay.
That's classic mentalism. That's a classic Richard Osterland routine. If I said to you radar deck, you probably wouldn't know what I was talking about. Imagine giving somebody a deck of cards, 6 people. Imagine you're in a group. You give 6 people a deck of cards, and each one of them looks at a card. And then immediately you tell them what all 6 of the cards are, but you've never touched the deck. It's like Stebbins on speed. I taught you Stebbins because it was an easy trick to teach you that you could do immediately because you had 0 skill when it came to Magic. So I taught you this trick where it was literally a case of, look at the bottom card, it's going to tell you what the top card is. There are way more advanced techniques to be able to do that, but 1,000,000 times better. 1,000,000 times better.
Okay.
But you know, don't just tell, it's that old expression, isn't it? Don't just tell me you're funny, make me laugh. Don't tell me you want to be a mentalist, go and be a mentalist. I know you're going and being a mentalist, but you're relying on these 2 props. There are millions of tricks that have been released over the years in classic text. Look at have you heard of Prism?
I've heard the name, yeah.
It's the definitive colour series by Max Maven on mentalism. All of this stuff that's like really old, those are the building blocks that are now, that have shaped the way that mentalism is today. This is the stuff if you're not going to have time now, because obviously we're a bit busy at the moment.
A little bit.
But I love to bring in like 9 DVDs, the Richard Osland Easy to Master Mental Magic series. He 9 DVDs. Probably about 100 different mentalism routines there. None of them with special props. And say, here, I'll watch that. And I guarantee you at least 50% of the tricks on there will be better than what you're doing because you're married to this you're married to this Stebbins deck. And don't get me wrong, I released a project on the Stebbins deck. The reason I showed you the Stebbins deck is it's a powerful tool. You know that more than anybody at this point. Mm-hmm. But it's still something that I showed you when you were first started that's fucking easy because I wanted to be able to give you something that you could literally go out and do straight away with no ability. Have them pick a card, cut the cards, look at the bottom card, add 3, that's the card. But there's a million other ways of doing that that is so much better. For example, right, I'll give you an example. And I'm not suggesting that you do this, but the Mem deck is 1,000,000 times better than the Stebbins deck. 1,000,000 times better. 1,000,000 times better. You know the position of every card in the deck. I can literally have you name a card. It does the same thing as a Stebbins deck because you can pick a card. I can look at the bottom card. It'll tell you what the top card is. But also, I can literally just have you cut and I can tell you the card you cut. There's 1,000,000 mentalism routines with a Mem deck. You could learn a Mem deck right now, sitting at your desk while you're on the phone. I could teach you a system that by the end of 2 weeks' time, you've learned a Mem deck. And I've told you in the past about learning a Mem deck, and you've gone, nah, I don't want
to. Yeah.
But
that, I'll just forget it after.
No, you won't, though. No, you won't. That is a tool that would open up way more possibilities. Way more possibilities. That's a tool that will open up way more possibilities than Stebbins.
Okay.
So where do we go from here? Do we rethink what we're doing in the bear pit and like go down the mentalism route? If you want to be a mentalist and you're at the Blackpool Magic Convention saying, here I am, I'm Matt Cluley, this is what I do. Do you want to skip the balloon swallow? Do you want to skip the cups and balls? Do you want to move into more mentalism? And we'll put a unique mentalism set together for you. And we can study some of Richard Ostland's stuff and take some of the old techniques that were around from years before. You know, or do you want to carry on going down the route that we're doing? And in terms of you as a performer, do you agree that having that toolbox of tricks, I call them tricks, I'm trivializing them because it's mentalism, effects, principles, do you think that would be better?
Like I said, I want to be I don't want to stop learning magic. I love learning magic. I love like sitting around and playing with tricks and stuff and learning different methods, and I love that. I really do. But as a performer, as a professional, I do want to be a mentalist. That's what I want to do. Okay,
so why don't we get you started on the Easy to Master Mentalism series? Have a look at the 13 Steps of Mentalism. Have a look at the Mind series. Have a look at Nothing by Max Maven, all of this sort of stuff. Dig out the old PlayStation 2 and stick on some DVDs.
Fucking DVDs.
Well, that's where the best material is. What do you reckon?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, the 13 Steps to Mentalism. I've been wanting to watch that for a while anyway.
Okay.
Isn't it a book as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Corinda.
But yeah, I've been wanting to see or read that for a while anyway.
Okay. Why don't we start you off on learning a Mem deck as well? Because you're not going to look at any DVDs over the next couple of weeks. But I could teach you a system that while you're sitting at your desk, you could, within 2 weeks, have the Mem deck down. Do you agree with me that if you knew a Mem deck, so you instantly, name a card. Name a card.
4 of clubs.
Number 1. First card in the deck. Imagine I put the deck of cards on the table and I said name a card and you said 4 of clubs and I went boom and turned it over. Jazzing with a mem deck is the most strongest thing you can do. Michael, name a card.
Queen of Hearts.
Queen of Hearts. I know that's a position number 11. So I could just do, hang on. Right, Daniel Dorian Johnson. He does some absolutely incredible stuff. Not Daniel Dorian Johnson, sorry. He's Stebbins as well. There's some incredible people that do some incredible stuff with mem decks that are mentalists. Incredible stuff.
Okay.
So why don't you start learning a mem deck? Unless there's a reason not to. Because it can do everything that a Stebbins deck can do, and it can do a million things that a Stebbins deck can't do. I know you're busy at the moment.
A little bit.
But you know what? You could walk out of the bear pit with some mem deck stuff and fry magicians. So a lot of magicians don't think about mem decks. But it gives you access to any card in the deck.
If you can remember it.
It's not hard. Ryan learned it at the age of 5.
Yeah, but he's a wonderkin, isn't he?
No, he's not.
I've got an old brain now.
Honestly, I remember it and I'm older than you. So, why don't we potentially strip back what you're doing at the bear pit? If you want to go to the Blackpool Magic Convention and you want to make a statement and you want people to, and you're dead set on wanting to be a mentalist, why not use that as an opportunity to come out and say, my name's Matt Cluley.
Opportunity to come out?
You know, step out the closet. My name's Matt Cluley and I am a mentalist and I'm proud of it, and go and do some really kick-ass mentalism routine that does not involve a fucking trick die and a pack of cards where you add 3 and you get the card.
Okay.
Yeah? You're going to start learning the mem deck today.
Today?
Yes, today.
I've only got a couple of hours.
You've only going to learn 5 cards. You're only going to have to learn 5 cards today. That's how the system works.
Can I pick the 5 cards?
No, because it has to be the first 5 cards of the stack, else it doesn't work.
Can it not just be ace, 2, 3, 4, 5 of hearts?
No, because that's not very deceptive.
I could probably remember that, though.
How long has this been going, Michael?
42 minutes.
Oh, you're
fucking kidding me.
We've got
Right.
so much stuff to
Right,
do.
look.
We've got to go to bloody Kent in a minute.
We had footage of Matt at Covent Garden learning from Nathan Earl and parts of Nathan Earl's show. We're going to put that on next week. We're going to do next week. We're going to see that Matt's already learnt the first half of the mem deck, and we'll test him on that, and then we'll yeah.
How?
Because you're going to learn 5 cards a day. That's how my system works. Technically, by this time next
You
week,
do realise
you'll be
that
on card
I'm
number
literally
35.
coming into the office at 8:30 in the morning and then not getting in till 1 o'clock in the morning every day.
You do
for the next
realise
week.
I'm doing exactly the same.
Yeah, but you haven't got to learn a mem deck in between it.
No, but what I have got to do is learn like 7 or 8 tricks every single day for the review show. You can't win on that one. Like, what am I doing all of the time, Michael? I'm learning fucking tricks that I haven't got time to learn. And the mem deck is the easiest thing because you can do it while you're sitting at your computer screen. We'll play the Nathan Earl stuff next week. He's tired, he's grumpy, but we'll whip him into shape. Matt.
Yes.
Say bye to everybody. You're such a grumpy fucker, aren't you? Guys, I'm going to teach Matt a mem deck, and next week, if we try hard enough, maybe he'll smile. We'll see you next week on the Matt-umentary. Thank you once again for watching. We're changing things around. We're going to turn you into Mentalist. This is why you don't make a plan, because if you make a plan and you need to deviate from the plan, you can't. You know, we have no plan. We're deviating. We're good. We'll see you next week with me and Matt, the Grumpy Mentalist.